أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما.
صلى الله عليك وعلى آلك وسلم.
اللهم صل صلاة كاملة وسلم سلاما تاما على سيدنا محمد الذي تنحل به العقد
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد خاتم النبيين وإمام المرسلين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك وأنعم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. الله. قال أبو القاسم said, أضر ما على أهل الديانات الدعاوى, that the most harmful thing on the people of belief are claims. Claims are a problem. You know, we live in a time now where everybody is, and that actually is not just this time, it's a human condition. We like to make claims about ourselves, we like to make claims about what we follow, we like to make claims about what we think is the truth and what's not the truth. And we like to throw labels on ourselves and on other people in order for us to distinguish the claims that we make versus the claims that other people make. It's all about just making claims. And Imam al-Junayd here, he's saying that that is actually the most harmful thing that has befallen people of belief. If you read someone like Christopher Hitchens' God is Not Great, and you look at just if we give him an overall summary statement for that book, the overall summary statement for that book is what Imam al-Junayd had just said here. That is, the most harmful thing upon the people of belief are claims. Christopher Hitchens throughout the whole book is basically quoting a lot of claims and then contrasting that with behavior, contrasting that with approaches, showing hypocrisy is what it is. And that's the problem with claims. قالت الأعراب آمنا قل لم تؤمنوا ولكن قولوا أسلمنا ولما يدخل الإيمان في قلوبكم. That the desert Arabs have claimed that they have believed inside, that they're now making claims about their internal states. Say you didn't believe. Say that you become Muslims. That's the apparent. Okay, apparently you're a Muslim. What makes a Muslim? Shahadatu an la ilaha illallah, that you bear witness that there is no God worthy of worship except the one true God, and that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the messenger of God. You pray your 5 daily prayers, you fast your Ramadan, you pay your zakat if it's obligatory upon you, and you make the pilgrimage once in your lifetime if you're able to. That's what makes a Muslim. But when you speak about your internal states, that's something for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لا تزكوا أنفسكم هو أعلم بمن اتقى. Do not make claims about your purified internal states. Allah is more knowledgeable about who is aware of Him and who's not. And so, one of the وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ لَا تُفْسِدُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ قَالُوا إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ مُصْلِحُونَ. Imam al-Qurtubi, Surah Al-Baqarah, he says that when they are told, and he says that this is actually a proof to show you that the one making claims about making rectifications, that's usually the one you should worry about. When it's said to them, do not sow corruption in the earth, they say, oh, nay, we are just fixing things, we're rectifying things. Imam al-Qurtubi says, that's the person you should watch out for. Anybody that's making claims. We are a people of action. You can make a claim about being a Sufi, which in itself is indicative that you have arrogated yourself over your own being, and you're now looking at yourself from the outside objectively and seeing your internal soul and confirming that you have basically gotten this true turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is accepting it. As Sidi Ahmed Zarruq in his Principles of Tasawwuf says, that the definitions of Tasawwuf have evolved into more than 2,000 definitions, but they all revolve around that one single meaning, which is صدق التوجه إلى الله تعالى, that you have the sincere intention towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, for you to make that claim, that's a very big claim. A lot of guys say that we are Salafis, in that we uphold the Quran and the Sunnah بفهم سلف الأمة, that we uphold the Quran and Sunnah with the understanding of the Salaf. So you're trying to tell me that you have gone back in the times and you've looked at all of the understandings of the Salaf and you're doing it exactly how they're doing it. That's, given all the different, let alone all the different change in realities, the different change in political circumstances, social circumstances, all these things that would actually influence the way you understand things, and you're really relying upon statements that are taken out of that context and assuming that you are understanding, that you're applying it based on that, when really to be a Salafi means that you're applying the same methodology in approaching the Quran and the Sunnah, not necessarily taking the exact statements out of context. But that's a different subject. Making claims is a problem because now you are setting yourself up as an exemplar to the people. People will look at you and they will say, okay, so that's what I should expect from a so-called Sufi, or a so-called Salafi, or a so-called this, or a so-called that. Don't make claims. Let your actions speak. They say, لسان الحال أبلغ من لسان المقال, that the tongue, the utterance of the state, how you are with the people, is actually more eloquent than the utterance of your words, your speech on your tongue. That's more eloquent. When people see you, when people come around you, when people look at your behavior and how you approach things, when people look at your just general state as you're walking, who's the wali? The wali is the one, not when they speak you remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The wali is the one that when you see them, you remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's who the wali is. And so the worst thing upon religion, and you do not want to be a proof for someone leaving Islam or rejecting Islam because you have claimed to be acting in the name of Islam. That's the worst thing you can do. You want to basically be a proof against people, not a proof for people. لِتَكُونُوا شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has brought us forth so that we become witnesses upon the people. Well, how are you going to be a witness of delivering the message when they can just come back to you and say, well, this individual had done this, this and that. That individual had done this, that, this and that. They've said this, they've said that. And they can actually use their fitrah, the natural state that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us in. They can use their fitrah as a proof against you because they see that all of your actions are contrary to the fitrah. And when the Prophet ﷺ says Al-Islamu Deenul Fitrah, that Islam is the religion of that innate dispensation, when you see someone, I'll just tell you a story. I talked to a friend here who was asking me about Islam and wanted to know, and he was just quoting me all of these things that he's saying Muslims are doing. And he knows they're contrary to Islam. But now he's seeing this disconnect. That actually is acting, in certain cases, as somewhat of a detriment. It's a deterrence for him. Why? Because the way he sees it, well, it looks like Islam is kind of a utopian religion. It asks you something that you cannot uphold and attain, which is not true. It's something that you can do. You only have so much time. You can spend your time in talking, or you can spend your time in acting. And if you act, regardless of what people say, the more you act and the more you uphold yourself in an upright manner, in a respectable way, you will find that that will trump any other speech. And it will translate into action. It will translate into a light that will come forth from you, because you'll be alive now as you walk among the people. So stay away from claims. That's really the essence of this counsel of Imam al-Junayd. Act upon your knowledge, and inshallah everything will be fine. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
لجودك أن تقنط عاصيا حاشا لجودك أن تقنط عاصيا الفضل أجزل والمواهب أوسع